Welcome back to another episode of the Stack Supplement Podcast, where we run down all the top stories and exciting announcements shared on our website from the past 7 days. As you'll notice, I am back in my office, my headquarters, my HQ. After traveling for, I think we visited 6 or 7 cities, visited numerous amounts of brands and companies and events, finished that up for the year. Going to be basically kicking this episode off with a bit of admin from last week's episode, which is kind of fits in with the narrative of our usual topic of big stories and sharing them, but also a bit on the selfish stack side. So to start this episode, we're going to go with news from the protein wars. This is one of the longest contests we've actually done at Stacked, equally as long as brand of the year. This is basically a protein powder showdown. We created this because, long story short, but back in the day, we did a top list, a top protein, top 5, top something, and people just really love their own protein powders, however they came to be, however they came to decide. They just loved whatever product that they chose, and so we created basically the protein wars after people sort of saying we like this and we like that. We came up with a concept where you would get to vote and have kind of, you pick it, you decide, you vote which is the best. And that's how the Protein Wars was born, and that's how it's been going for the last, I think this is the 11th time we've run it this year. And from 2018 or 19, I think in the first 5 years there was no trophy. Then we created the glass or crystal trophy, as it might be. Then we came up with the championship ring, and these are completely custom championship rings. I don't make 2 of them because they're just too expensive to make 2. Every one of them is different. No one of these championship rings looks alike. They are created with the protein powder design inside the little gems and all that stuff. You can go on the website and check it out. We've got a picture of this year's one, which is very different from any other year. I will tell you that. That was the goal. We wanted something very different, very distinct, and it's going to be a big one. We have over 100 protein powders to be voted on. So the way the protein wars works is we get pretty much every protein powder out there. We put them on a big, long list that could be as long as possible, and then everyone votes. And then after the 1 week, we get the top 16 and we split it up into a ladder competition. We do 4 groups of 4, see who's the favorite of each of those. Then we got 2 groups of 2, see who the favorite is there, and then we end up with a 1-on-1 grand final. It's a powerhouse competition, always enjoyable, always fun to watch. We've had numerous champions over the years. Salikor Corway took it home back in the day. MTS Nutrition's Machine Way they won 1 year. NutriBio's Way ISO won 2 years in a row, and then I think Mansport's ISO Pro also was a 2-year in a row. And the current champion, Rise Loaded Protein, they took the title off, I think it was Ghost Way, was the one that they won, or was it Jim and Ghost won a year, I'm not sure which order. But over the past 2 years, it's been Rise's Loaded Protein, a suitably delicious flavor protein powder, and that has currently the standing champion, 2-time back-to-back champion, which means that we have 3 2-time champions across the 11 years that we've run this, or 10 years, this year being the 11th. So yeah, that we could always be getting our first 3-time champion, but we have yet to see one. So this could indeed be the first 3-time champion. The ring is on the website. Go check it out. It is a damn cool, good-looking ring. And that all kicks off on November. I'm trying to remember the exact date. I've written it down. It's not in front of me. November the 13th. 13th of November, Monday. So that goes for a week for the first round. Then the second, third, final week. 4th week will be the grand final. We got 1-on-1. And it's an all-out showdown. I don't know who's going to win. I mean, obviously, a betting man would say Rise is up there in the mix. They did win last year. It's 2 years running, so they've still got a lot of popularity going for them very clearly. But newcomers come out of the gate all the time. Favorites get knocked out pretty early every year. I'm all for it. We run the contest. We have a good time. We make sure it's a fun time. And it's also, once again, this year is brought to you by Velocitol. Will be the title sponsor of the Protein Wars. So in all the marketing, you'll see Velocitol's tagline. Obviously, a very suitable highlight because Velocitol is the perfect partner for protein powder. Very cleverly noted by its slogan of double the power of your protein, as it does enhance muscle protein synthesis, essentially getting you more out of your protein than you would without it. And again, in this case, basically double the power of your protein. all of which you can find out more information on Velocitol through the Nutrition 21 website. And you'll be able to see it in multiple stories on Stacked, as that thing has been featured a lot due to its effectiveness and popularity. But yeah, the next story we've got that is a little bit more selfish, that is all, not really selfish, but it's more admin stuff. That is the Arnold Sports Festival. They announced last week, not only has KSM Ashwagandha officially been announced as the title sponsor for next year's event, which is a pretty big deal. I don't know ever when an ingredient, sports nutrition, health ingredient sponsored a consumer show like the Arnold, the Olympia, FIBA, or anything like that. But in addition to all of this, last week, the Arnold announced that the cage is returning for the 2024 Arnold Sports Festival. Now, if you do not know what the cage is, you can just go on YouTube, go on Google, you'll find some documentation. So basically, I described it on the site when the announcement was made. The cage is, if you can imagine this, if you've never been there and never know what it is basically a little gym yard. It's got bench press, deadlift, squat rack, everything you need to do to smash the shit out of all of those exercises. And then because it's the cage, they put a cage or a fence around it. And then they bring in a star-studded list of athletes, powerlifters, bodybuilders, and they get them to perform their face off. And I've been there in years when someone's nose was bleeding because he was doing too many squats. I've seen people smash some high rep records. I've seen some ridiculous things, and it is incredibly entertaining. And it hasn't been there for 4 years. 2019 was the last time they did it, but obviously COVID, 21, 22, 23, they skipped out. Obviously, you got to find the right time for the brand, and 2024 appears to be the right time for this to happen. So, if you go to the Arnold Sports Festival, not only are you going to see the Stack section front and center, which is going to be something that everyone's going to want to visit. Obviously, I'm a bit biased, but you are going to want to visit it. But then, I think across from us, so there's the Stack section to the left of the entrance when you walk in. Then between the entrance and the main aisle is Gym Reapers, and then across from them, on the other side of the main aisle, is Animal. So you will be able to see us from Animal's booth, and vice versa. So when nothing's happening, when maybe they've got a little to take a break and they're given a rest, shoot on over. Or if you want a break from the Stack section, shoot over there. But yeah, it's going to be pretty cool to see Animal return in full force and with the cage. It is a legendary activation at the Arnold Sports Festival, and I'm so glad that not only could we be there to see this all happen and play out, but it is 2024. Like, Stacked is going to be there as well with our whole section, so I couldn't even imagine like a better timing. And as I keep telling everybody, if you have not organized to go, do that. If you want to exhibit or be a part of it, do that. It is going to be one for the ages, and I think last time I checked, the floor space is like 80-90% booked. The Stacked area, I think, has room for 3 or 4 brands because we had to add a little extra bit at the end. If you want to be in, this isn't one of those shows where you're going to better call them up in the last month. And so it's all culminating for March 1st. Anyway, you can check that out on the website, but we're going to get into the regular supplement stories. And traditionally, in weeks past, the Stack Supplement Podcast has centered around a lot of energy drinks. I will admit, this past week was very little. In fact, I've only got supplement highlights in front of me to talk about, and we're going to kick things off with news from actually Supply Side West. This was a bit of an interesting story that I actually just stumbled across. Someone pointed out that this brand was here. I ventured down and I saw this on the booth. So, if you are at all familiar with concrete creatine HCl, the signature ingredient creatine HCl is basically promoted as a concentrated creatine, kind of promising the same benefits as creatine monohydrate or other forms of creatine, typically dosed quite largely, but you don't have to have as much. So creatine HCl, I think the recommended amount is usually 1.5. So it's been around for a very long time. It's been around, I think creatine HCl has been around longer than Stacked, if not less, slightly less, but yeah, it's been around for a while. Concrete's the branded name. You'll be able to find it in a lot of different supplements, but Concrete was at Supply Side West, and as I mentioned, Supply Side West is a very industry-heavy show. On their booth was the introduction of an ingredient called citrulline HCl. Now, this was very, very intriguing, and currently I'm actually trying this thing out. But the concept is very much the same as creatine HCl to creatine monohydrate, in that it promises the benefits of citrulline, pure citrulline, L-citrulline for pumps and performance, but at a concentrated amount. So on their promotional material, they were basically saying 3 times concentrated of regular L-citrulline. So in theory, if I'm just taking that at face value, I would take 2 grams of citrulline HCl, which they have called HydroNOX, that's the name they're giving it, and that would equal 6 grams of regular L-citrulline. So I've been toying with this. I think I gave it a run twice. I actually gave it a run today, give it a run a few days back, probably not the best example, but I'm toying with fat dosages. I'm toying with some high ones. I used it at 4 and 5, which would theoretically equal 12 and 15 grams of pure L-citrulline. I'm just pushing it the max because that's what I do. It's fun. And I'll probably simmer it down to kind of see the comparative difference as well. But the concept is extremely interesting. And obviously the results or the benefits of it are just beyond. They go quite distant. Obviously, if you have to put less into a drink, if you have to put less into a powder, if you have to put less into whatever to get the same results, there are a lot of savings, a lot of differences that can apply to brands, especially on the back end. Let's just say you're shipping a container of, 20,000 pre-workouts, this is just made up, and you don't have to put in, 6 grams of citrulline, you put in 2, so that's 4 grams less, 30 a serve, 120 grams. That would add up. That would surprisingly add up. But, these are small things, but what I'm saying is there are a lot of key points beyond just the effectiveness in a small amount. Obviously, I'm trying out to see just how it compares. So I'm taking it back to back with a few other citrulline supplements and really pushing it to see if, say, something like 12 grams of citrulline is equal to 4 citrulline HCl, at least from what I can try in person. So I'll let you know the more I try it and the more I give it a run. But I believe that you can find more information on that on our website. And if you're a brand interested in giving it a try, hit up, it's called Verio Systems is the name of the company, but they are obviously the company behind CON-CRET. So yeah, pretty cool little innovation that we'd spotted at supplier side. Not intentional. Someone, again, I wasn't going to stumble across them on purpose. I did run into them after someone passed them on to me. Moving on, we have news from Ballistic up in Canada. And last week, I will admit, there was far more premium pre-workouts than any other week I had seen. And so Ballistic was part of that. They announced a new pre-workout called Trigger Point. I believe it is launching next month. I'm recording this on Monday, so it should be out in the coming days in Canada. But considering so in Canada, the rules and regulations are quite different. You don't have as many ingredients to choose from, or brands just can't use that many up there. Ballistic is a Canadian company, but they did a damn good job at packing this thing out. So I'm just going to rattle it off for you, as I will with the other premium pre-workouts I have to share. So first up, we got 3.2 beta-alanine, a very typical dose, 2 grams of taurine, 1.5 of creatine HCl, as I was saying, the concentrated 1.5 amount. Then you've got 5 grams of beta-build betaine, which is my favorite dose of that specific ingredient. Very rarely seen. Usually it's 2.5, 1.25 on a split. Then you got 1 gram of agmatine, 2 grams of glycerol, 6 of a citrulline complex. Now it is interesting to note this isn't just straight citrulline, so it's a 6 gram blend of half citrulline and then half citrulline malate. So that's not half citrulline, half malic acid. That is 3 grams of that 6 is pure citrulline. The other 3 is citrulline malate at a 2-to-1 ratio, which would mean that 2/3 of that remaining 3 would be citrulline, give or take. So that would be 5 in total, and then 1 gram of malic acid. And then for the nootropic side or sensory side, you got 1.5 of tyrosine, half a gram of choline, half a gram of DMAE, another half a gram of alpha-GPC, theanine, and a rather potent 400 milligrams of caffeine. So this is indeed a stacked pre-workout specifically for Canada. And as I said, don't necessarily compare this to the kinds of stacked products you get in the US, especially coming from Canada. Their rules and regulations are just ridiculous. They have a very different system in which to even get products made and registered. to even be sold in the country. So I will tell you that that is a pretty damn good supplement coming out of a Canadian company, and definitely something I imagine Ballistic fans as well as other consumers in the region or country that regularly buy pre-workouts. So again, you can check that out on the site as with everything we mentioned, but that was not the only premium pre-workout that we had news on. Apollon Nutrition announced a beast of a supplement called Bloody Hooligan. Now, this is a hybrid supplement. This is not hybrid in the sense that it combines pre-workout and weight loss, hybrid in the sense that it is Apollon's unique collaboration method. Now what this is so Apollon has done this in the past where they combined two of its own pre-workouts. So you got Double Impact was one of them where they combined Hooligan and Assassin. And they did Time Cop, which I believe was Over the Time and Bare Knuckle. So they basically combine the benefits of these two supplements. Bloody Hooligan is a combination of Hooligan and is it Bloody Hell? I think it's Bloody Hell. They're pump capsule supplement, pump pills. But the interesting and very cool thing here is that it is an exact combination of the two. So Double Impact and Time Cop took points and pieces from the different supplements. It wasn't an exact combination because there was overlap and you can't squeeze everything into the one. Bloody Hooligan is exactly Hooligan combined with each and every ingredient that you get in Bloody Hell in one supplement. So it is very much a collaboration combination pre-workout to the full extent of it. So the ingredients that are in Bloody Hell, I don't even know if I have the exact list of ingredients. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so everything in Hooligan and is combined with 1.5 nitrosogene, 600 milligrams of Self-Low 6, and then 508 of Vasodrive AP. So that combined with everything that's in Hooligan is what you get in Bloody Hooligan. But if you missed out, it was posted the day that it launched. So the reveal was on Monday, launch was on Friday. They sold out Friday. So if you were trying to get your hands on this, you're shit out of luck if you haven't done it already. Their website sold out, their gym sold out. So the only people that have it are their retail partners, and they only made 2,500 units of this thing. So if you want to get your hands on it, head to someone like I think Natural Body has. I don't actually know for sure, but I know Aries Nutrition does. They had it in stock, but this thing went almost instantly. So if you wanted to get your hands on it, if you're a fan of stacking Bloody Hell and Hooligan, or even you just want Hooligan with a little bit extra pumps, pick this bad boy up. And the price is a little more than Hooligan, but it is far better than buying Bloody Hell and Hooligan together at $69.95. Next up, we're going to shoot over to the original Underground Supplement Company. Now these guys are one of my all-time favorites, purely because they just, I mean, I don't even know how to say it, but it's just one of my favorite in terms of style. So back in the day when Stack started, Black Market was one of the, I guess, your more hardcore supplement companies, but their website was a list of phone numbers, and you would go to the website, you would get a phone number, and it was basically text your local, I don't know the exact words, I think it's text your local dealer, but it was a play on like underground stuff. And the concept was that you'd text them and like pick it up from the gym or somewhere, wherever you had organized it. And it was obviously just a pre-workout, but it was a very intriguing way to do it. This was before everyone had an online store. This was before everyone was on Amazon. It's a very different time, but this concept was still very unique. And so Black Market has always held a special place in my heart. They always did things differently, always tried to stand out, and they have just dropped their premium pre-workout. So the premium pre-workout trend, as I've mentioned a few times on here, it's going to sound like a stuck record, but the premium pre-workout is basically a pre-workout where brands will create something for a higher price. So you got a pre-workout at 30, and then they make a new pre-workout at 50, and they don't add anything more to it, like different categories or hybrid approach. They just put more in it so that you have the ability to spend more to get more from your specific pre-workout. Black Market has gone and done that with a supplement called Defy, and I got to give it to them. They've always done pretty solid pre-workouts, but this is indeed a step up. And much like the last one I was talking about, I'm going to rattle them off piece by piece because this is from the original Underground brand. This is a nice little formula they got going here. So you got 10 grams of citrulline and 5 grams of betaine. Again, I do like that 5 grams. To drive home some pumps, you got 3.2 beta alanine for performance, and then everything else, pretty much everything else, is in there for energy and focus. So you have 600 of choline bitartrate, another 600 of alpha GPC, a gram of tyrosine, dendrobium, N-acetyl L-tyrosine, erythritol, valvobine, caffeine, Infinity dicaffeine malate, synephrine, theanine. And I will note that the caffeine amount, I believe, I was a little unsure on this one because it looks like it's just under, it looks like it's around 400. It's a little hard to tell because they haven't listed the exact amount, but it's 300 anhydrous, 75 Infinity dicaffeine malate, which is, off memory, is a 75%, is it a third or 75% caffeine? And then you've got 100 milligrams of natural caffeine. So it sounds like it's going to put you somewhere around just over 400 grams total. So definitely a potent amount, definitely a packed out pre-workout. I mean, I'm a big fan of 10 grams of citrulline as much as the next guy. And you've got that paired with the 5 grams of betaine. So they definitely have some substantial support on pump and performance, but it is all about that energy and focus in this thing with all those stimulants. The next story I've got 2 more to touch on. I'm going to do 3 actually. Is this one's going to be a quick one, and that is Performax Labs. They announced that they're doing a premium pre-workout. Very much, like I said about Black Market, they make a pre-workout basically for fans to spend more to get more out of this specific type of supplement. So they announced a product called Hyper Maxed Out. So this is basically a premium, more advanced version or spin-off of their Hypermax pre-workout, which is, I believe, it's the highest rated pre-workout consistently across years, if I remember correctly. They have not delivered a version of Hypermax that didn't tear shit up, plain and simple. They've done versions of Hypermax that were just killers, were category leaders, and then some that weren't, they were just right up there as among the best. And they've done this across, I'm going to say, a decade now. They've done this across several years, and they've never let it down. They've always kept the name Hypermax. They haven't changed out. Very similar to Devastate, another brand that's always carried a good reputation and done some great pre-workouts in the years. But Performax did come before Inspired, as far as I remember. Hypermax is, again, it's just held that reputation for longer than anyone that I know of, and it's known as a beast of a pre-workout. Now we're getting Hypermaxed Out, and the formula on this one is going to be shared tomorrow. Now I'm recording this Monday, so if this goes up on Tuesday, then it's technically today or Wednesday. I'm talking about yesterday. You've already seen it, but they are doing a big one, and I definitely think it's going to be one to watch out for. Mostly because, as I said, Performax doesn't play around. These guys know how to make a good pre-workout. They've known for a decade how to do it. They continue to do it. And their other stuff is good, but the Hypermax name has just held such power for all these years. It's pretty cool to see them step up and, I guess, open up the bandwidth a bit and really push the boundaries on what they can do. So keep an eye out for that one this week. But the next story we're going to shoot to is more pre-workouts. As I said, last week was full of supplements, and more so than energy drinks, and especially more so than any other week. But the next one we have is actually from Dragon Pharma. Now, they haven't done a premium pre-workout, which is what we've been seeing from most other people that have been launching something for the pre-workout category, even if they've had a pre-workout already in there. Dragon Pharma has taken a much more, I wouldn't say age-old or classic approach, but something that we've seen much longer or much more of than the premium pre-workout. And Dragon Pharma has introduced Venom Thermo. Inferno. The Venom Inferno. And this is basically a high stim version. This is something that we used to see way back in the day from brands. They would typically do like a so-and-so black. That was just that you attach black to it, or hardcore or high stim or whatever. And so this is what Venom Inferno is. It's essentially a high stim version or variant of Dragon Pharma's signature Venom pre-workout. And it is well and truly, at least on formula side, it is exactly a high stim beast. So there is beta alanine and betaine in there at 3.2 and 2.5 respectively. Pink Himalayan salt for a bit of hydration, but the rest is there for energy and focus, and it does not disappoint. So you got 3 grams of tyrosine, synephrines in there at 200, DMAE at 350, alpha yo at 4.5, and just to give you an idea, something like it's Assassin, Apollon Nutrition's Powerhouse Assassin, I'm pretty sure they don't even get close to that. I mean, not close, they're less than that. I'm trying to remember the exact amount. Yeah, so it's double what you'd get in Assassin, just to give you an idea. And that is widely known as the high stimulant beast or leader or king, or whatever you want to call it. It is one of the highest stims out there. And they've got 4.5 milligrams of alpha yo in this Venom Inferno. Then there's also L-Dopa, Huperzine, and the caffeine is at a 500 milligram total. Now again, I don't think this is yield. Typically brands don't do the yield. So let's just say it's 500 milligrams from various sources, and it provides 400. The 400 would be the yield. They haven't outlined that. I could take a guess. I think they got 75. They says 75% of the 500 is caffeine anhydrous, which, oh man, this mathematics. This math is that's 375 at the top of my head. 375, and then you got 25% would be coming from the Infinity dicaffeine malate. So in theory, it would be close in 400 to 450, somewhere in that realm. That's if it's not the yield amount, the 500. I suspect it's not, but either way, at the end of the day, is the high stimulant beast. You can check it out in detail on our site. Just type in Venom Inferno, and you get a nice big rundown. It's a pretty intense looking supplement, and Dragon Pharma is known for some pretty potent, hard-hitting pre's with the regular Venom, so to see a higher stimulant version is pretty cool, and definitely also nice that it's not that I don't like seeing premium pre-workouts, but when you get to mix things up like you have here, it is nice and fun. The last story we have, and I know this is running long, and I've tried to squeeze in more than I can, but I'm going to anyway. This is HD Muscle. HD Muscle, and it's premier athlete Nick Walker, who is about to step on stage this coming weekend for the Olympia, the prestigious Olympia competition. They've partnered with him for a special edition pre-workout, and not just one pre-workout, 2, but in a very different way. So traditionally when you get pre-workouts, you get pairs of pre-workouts, so you'll have one like Pump Daddy, Stim Daddy from Rise. One with stims, one without. You can use them together, you can use them separate. Stims will give you a nice energy and focus. Pumps will give you pump and performance, typically. And then you can put them together for a nice little blend of both. HD Muscle has created versions of its pre-workout PreHD, and they're called Variant 001 and Variant 002. Now the difference here is that these aren't drastically different. So they have the same core ingredients, if you understand what I'm saying. So basically, the ingredients for pumps and performance are the same. So both supplements have 11 grams of citrulline. It's a beast of a dose of citrulline for pumps. 5 grams of betaine. That's a third supplement I've talked about in this episode that's had that. Just so you know, that's not a rare dose to see, but 5 grams of betaine, 5 grams of CreaPure creatine monohydrate, 4 grams of beta-alanine, and 1.5 of nitrosamine, and 508 milligrams of Vasodrive AP. So all of those things are obviously very clearly for pumps, performance, without anything for energy and focus. Now, Variant 001 does have caffeine in it. In fact, it has 3 sources: caffeine citrate, caffeine anhydrous, and Zumixar caffeine. They combine for 250. So again, the yield amounts, they didn't provide an exact total, but I would say that if that's the exact amount, 250 is pretty moderate. But if it's the yield, that should bring it down a little bit lower as well. And then there's galangal root extract, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the regular version or standard version of an extra. If I remember correctly, I'm not looking at anything from here. I think that might be what that is, at 300 milligrams. Now, in Variant 002, the PreHD, the other PreHD that HD Muscle and Nick Walker have put together, they don't have any of the caffeine or the galangal. I might be butchering that name. They don't have any of that. In its place, however, you get alpha GPC at 750, choline bitartrate at 1 gram, and I think tyrosine at 2 grams. So basically, instead of caffeine and energizing components, you have focus and cognitive ingredients. Again, you could have gone high stim free for pumps and performers and made them stackable. I kind of like that they went for something different, that they tried to mix things up, but also insane that if you know HD Muscle at all, they have a lot of different pre-workouts out there already. They have, I think it's PreHD Elite, PreHD something else, and then they have PreHD Black, which is high stim. So even if you weren't a fan of their moderate stim, and what they've done with the Nick Walker stuff, with the PreHD variant 001, 002, they've made it very different from what they already have out there. Because they could have easily done a version of PreHD that Nick Walker liked, or they could have done a version of PreHD with altered stimulants, but they came up with these two entirely different supplements and made them kind of separate. And I mean, they're not even stackable. You could stack them to get the maximum amounts of those ingredients. So you could do 2 of one and 1 of the other, but the caffeine's so not that high. So if you did 2 of the caffeine one because you didn't like stims and maybe wanted just 1 scoop of the focus, because it does take 3 scoops to get these full amounts. Sorry, no, 1 scoop to do, well, my bad. So it's 1 scoop to do the full amounts, but they do allow you to break it down. And they actually list on the label a 1/3 scoop and 2/3 scoop for, I guess, moderate and entry level dosages. But even if you did do 2/3 of a scoop on the caffeine one, maybe you wanted lower stims, it's not that much, it's not that high. So if it was like 500 milligrams and you wanted less caffeine, you could do 2, bring it down to 350, and then add a 1/3 scoop of the focus to get that 11 grams of citrulline, and add, I guess, a tiny bit of focus. But they are very much designed to be taken separately, almost like you get both, and yeah, generally have one when you need energy and don't want any focus, or don't want any caffeine but want the focus to help you boost you up. It's a very cool approach, very interesting approach, and they're launching this week, I believe, right in line with Nick Walker stepping on stage, a huge favorite going into the annual competition to take home the title. He obviously hasn't won it, but Hadi Choopan's coming in to defend it, and yeah, Nick Walker looking as good as ever, and will be taking on the competition, and with 2 pre-workouts in support, with PreHD variant 001 and variant 002. So you can check out those on the website. As always, everything I've mentioned this entire show, head to stack.com or stack3d.com, however you want to say it. Look up those things, and yeah, follow along every single day. Even if you love these recaps, follow along the website. That's all we ask. That's how we succeed. That's how we do well. Share with your mom, share with your dad, your family, your friends. It's just something I've become to say. Check out the site every day, once, twice, 3 times a day. The more the merrier. And again, if you have not organized a way to get to the Arnold, and it is something you've been wanting to do, please do it. Be there. We're going to have some fun. We've got a lot of things we're announcing and organizing leading up to the show, and that is right about now. So yeah, anybody have any questions, hit me up, and I look forward to having you back and listening again next time.